Afternoon. Short but vital conversation on the impact of climate change on cultural and natural heritage. My name is Sneška Mihailović. I'm the Secretary General of Europa Nostra, the European voice of civil society committed to cultural heritage, and we are delighted to participate for the first time as the content partner in the Delphi Economic Forum. And I also speak in my capacity as the regional co-chair of the Climate Heritage Network, created a little bit more than 2 years ago, and I'm covering the region of Europe and the Commonwealth of Independent States. I'm delighted to share the floor with my dear colleague and friend, George Kremlis. Last time we have been sharing the stage was in Brussels during the COP26 when in the European Pavilion the Greek government took the initiative to organize an important side events highlighting the impact of climate change alarming impact of climate change on cultural and natural heritage. And at a time, Europa Nostra applauded, like we did in previous occasions, the leadership that the Greek government is showing on this important topic. So already you have organized an important conference in Athens in June 2019, and after that, with your Prime Minister, Mr. Mitsotakis, you traveled to New York for the Climate Summit, where ask the global community to mobilize in a more strong way to recognize the negative impacts of climate change and because on cultural heritage and the necessity to work all together to mitigate these negative impacts with working closely, of course, with United Nations, with UNESCO, and civil society organizations like Europa Nostra. We were present in New York. We were discussing together with other players in Brussels, where you brought together such important voices like John Kerry, also sent a message. Your Minister of Culture was there. So on behalf of Europa Nostra, George, I really want to thank the Greek government and you personally, because I know that this is the topic that you are working very actively, and also to express my wish that other European countries, together with Greece, will, and I know that Italy, for example, is also very active, United Kingdom as well, outside of the European Union, but active, of course, at the level of COP26, hopefully COP27. So there is a lot of sort of mobilization. There is a momentum. We are living a momentum, but we need to do more together. But so over to you, George, to tell us, what are the plans, how Greece wants to continue to lead on this important topic.
Indeed, dear Sneška, a lot of challenges ahead of us. But let me first thank Europa Nostra. You are our voice, and as you represent Europa Nostra, you are the prominent representative of Europa Nostra. I always admire your vision. You are a convinced European, a citizen of the world, and on all the key challenges, Europa Nostra has a lot to say, and your contribution is always extremely precious. We are grateful to this, and we are also grateful for the excellent cooperation that we have established. Greece, as you have mentioned, has initiated a UN initiative in cooperation with UNESCO, the World Meteorological Organization, and UNFCCC to protect our cultural heritage and the monuments of the nature from the impacts of climate change. In this climate crisis period, which becomes even stronger because of the war and the emissions which are the result, including toxic emissions, are the result of this war. In this period of climate crisis, we are all suffering from the climate crisis, from the impacts of the climate change, which are expressed not only through floods, fires, extreme weather phenomena, but which affect also our life. Some areas will suffer of the planet from water scarcity. There will be desertification phenomena, and a very important problem for Greece, as we have the longest coastal line and many islands, the increase of the sea level. And in that respect, the Greek initiative covers also the islands of the Pacific at the first place and the Indian Oceans, which are threatened because of the rise of the sea level, more than our Mediterranean islands, although one should stress that the Mediterranean, being a closed sea, suffers also from a sea rise level, So the phenomena of the climate change are visible everywhere. And I would like, as Ukraine has been in the middle of our discussions here, to say, and Europa Nostra has done things on this, that the Ukrainian cultural heritage and the monuments of the nature, which are also under the Greek initiative, being a worldwide initiative, have suffered from the war. And we need to protect them. I see already a lot of voices. There is a humanitarian problem. There are a lot of other problems, but the cultural heritage is the heritage also for the next generations. It is our Europe. It is our history, our roots. So we need to protect them, and I was really happy to find out that in Odessa being a city monument of the world, the citizens and the city have covered the prominent monuments of the city to protect them. Of course, if a bomb arrives there, the protection is useless. But again, in Kiev as well, there were efforts which are important to highlight and to acknowledge for the protection of the cultural heritage. Let me say in 2 words the initiatives that we are planning. First of all, we would like to have a side event in COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh, and in that respect, we count a lot on your cooperation, Sneška. I think we need to join forces to develop something which will be more results-oriented. The second thing is that in the context of the EU Med9, these are the 9 member states of the European Union, we are developing a pilot project to identify 1 cultural monument per country, which we will digitalize. We will develop vulnerability criteria, and we will try to see how this monument has suffered up to now from the climate change impacts, how we can protect it, and how we can ensure that it will become, let's say, climate resilient in the future, as the key elements are prevention, preparedness, and resilience in this climate change compact. The second initiative is an initiative in the context of the SEEC, which is a cooperation of the countries of Southeast Europe. Greece holds the presidency till the end of July, and we are planning to organize a hybrid event. It will be mostly online, where we have planned to invite you, as there will be a political panel with the Ministers of Culture and Environment, and then we need a panel of the representatives of the civil society and the scientific community to discuss what we can do in the context of this cooperation in our region. And the third initiative is an initiative on the islands, where we would like to invite leaders of the islands of the Pacific and Vanuatu, for example, and other islands which are suffering from the rise of the sea level, and see how we can highlight the importance of the islands, because an island is both a cultural and a natural heritage of our planet, and we need really to protect them. So I will stop here, because this is an interactive discussion, and we have a lot to say more, and the time is flying.
Yeah. Thank you so much, George, and especially, once again, for the leadership, for the vision, and for proposing already very concrete actions in the near future. I would like to sort of add the other side of the story, precisely because we know, and you are demonstrating, that climate change has a very alarming negative impact of so many heritage places. That means that it is in our interest, in the interest of people dealing with cultural heritage, that climate action, which is undertaken to mitigate these and to adapt, in fact, to the new developments, climate change, that this action succeeds. In Europe, as you know, European Union has launched a most ambitious European Green Deal. And it is in our interest that the Green Deal succeeds. But when it was launched in 2019, the word culture or cultural heritage was not mentioned at all within the entire European Green Deal. Now, the good news is that 3 years later, thanks to the mobilization of the cultural world, cultural heritage world, and also thanks to the leadership of Ursula von der Leyen, who launched the new European Bauhaus in 2020, it's now recognized that we cannot succeed in the green transformation of our societies if we don't put culture as an important vector of this green transformation. Because the green transformation of our life is fundamentally a cultural transformation of our life, a cultural change of a mindset. And this is why we have produced, together with other organizations, with ICOMOS, with the help of European Investment Bank Institute, a European Cultural Heritage Green Paper that was produced and presented in March last year. It is the 60-page document where we go chapter by chapter from the Green Deal and demonstrating that cultural heritage has to be part of the solution, not just to be something which is threatened and which needs to be saved, but you need cultural heritage to save the planet as well. And when I come every chapter that goes from the circular economy, the renovation wave, we know how many buildings are historical buildings that need to be renovated and benefit from the funds available for the renovation wave, but it has to be done in the quality way. We have, of course, the issue of renewable energies. Of course, cultural heritage needs to embrace the renewable energies, including the wind energy. But it has to be done in such a way that that climate action should not then become danger to cultural heritage. And that means that we are advocating there that we need to have a dialogue, proper dialogue, and involve from day one the cultural heritage stakeholders in the plans of also deployment of renewable energy like wind turbines that have a massive impact of a landscape. And that is something that we don't want to be always seen as the ones who are the annoying ones who are protesting against. We want from day one to be involved in making sound, responsible decisions where we can place the wind turbines and where simply it's not appropriate. 2 hours ago, we had the discussion on the spirit of the place. We are here on the World Heritage Site of Delphi with an amazing landscape. So this is some landscapes are sacred, too important, plus preserved by UNESCO as the World Heritage Site. So these sites should be sort of not be used for that. But many other sites are possible, and we can do it also. Especially, we want to applaud Greece. I know that you have developed a program for development of offshore wind turbines, and in the current geopolitical situation, we must have the transition even quicker than we thought we would need. But I think using the offshore possibilities are extremely important. But also, traditional materials. traditional skills, that traditional building techniques. It's something that we need to promote. Instead of destroying heritage, we ought to learn from heritage how in this, as part of the whole green transformation, we can build the world, which is, as the new European Bauhaus is saying, more beautiful, more sustainable, and more inclusive. Yeah. So this is something which is an extremely important message. We are part of the solution. And when there are some, potential conflicts, we want to be part of the conversation to find a solution that these conflicts can be removed. And as you know, you mentioned, in fact, that we have this endangered, the 7 most endangered list. This year, we said that the heritage of Ukraine is the most endangered heritage in Europe. Or previously, we also mentioned the islands, the Cycladic Islands, as we have identified them as potentially most endangered.
Because of the rise of the sea level.
The rise of the sea level. Another, Delos is, of course, another example. When we had the rise of the sea level. Venice, how not to mention
Venice, that you know very well, and where you have organized very interesting conferences to highlight the challenges that this insular, because a lot of people don't understand that Venice is a complex of islands, although it is connected with the mainland, and it is more threatened than any other part. You have referred to the island of Delos, and as you know, there is a very interesting project that Alexandra Mitsotakis is developing. You have been involved last year, and we will continue together. Delos is zero ground. So this archaeological site is practically at the level of the sea. So with an increase of the sea level, or with a tsunami, or with extreme weather phenomena, the site might be seriously affected. Therefore, we need in this part of our strategy to protect the islands and our cultural heritage, to see how insularity can be protected. And in that respect, this is extremely important. Let me praise you for your green paper. Your green paper is extremely important, because for me, the most important thing is how we can mainstream culture in the climate action. And the climate action is a full-range action. Climate action is in transport, electromobility. Climate action is in tourism, to reduce the footprint of tourism, both at the level of the transport, but also at the level of the hotels. The climate and culture coexistence covers practically everything. And as Sneška has correctly pointed out, we need to build social acceptance. Because in some Greek islands, there has been resistance against wind turbines. I believe that our grandchildren will see wind turbines, and they will consider them as part of our cultural heritage, because in some parts of our planet, or in some of our mountains, they have a cultural dimension. But it is true that a lot of citizens feel that their culture, their islands, their landscape, and there is a Council of Europe convention, as you know, Sneška, on the protection of the landscape, is affected because of the energy transition, because of the renewables, because of the photovoltaics, and also their impacts on biodiversity, because climate action and culture is also linked to our biodiversity, which is part of our heritage as well, and we need to protect it.
But this is why we need to join forces. The public authorities, the governments, international organizations, and civil society organization and heritage stakeholders. If we now make that big coalition, we will reduce the resistance and rather make the full benefit of all the knowledge and all the mobilization, because we all want the climate action to succeed. We all need it because it's necessary for our planet, it's necessary for our cultural heritage. So for the COP27, let's work very closely together. I think there we can make an even stronger point than we did in Glasgow in COP27.
And let's use the motto that climate neutrality and the protection of our planet is a cultural issue as well. Cultural issue in our minds, but also how we can mainstream culture in the full range of the climate action, which is also our own activities on a daily basis. The timing was perfect.
As you can see, we are ready to work together.
Thank you very much.